It is critical for a homeowner to understand where the water is coming in from. I know in a panic situation, water's coming in, you just start dialing and you try to find anybody who can help you out. But if you stop, slow down, take a breath, and analyze the situation even just a little bit, even if you're not super confident on your abilities to detect where the water is coming from or detect where the leak is happening from, it will save you thousands of dollars in the end. And the reason why is that when we don't know anything and you're not sure how water is coming in, or you're just flooded and you panicked and you're not really sure what to do, the way we joke around here say the less you know, the more you pay. And it's not because we're trying to take advantage of it. It's because in order for us to determine how to best solve the problem, which is to prevent water from coming in, we need to first understand where the leak is actually happening from. So leak detection and finding out the location of the water infiltration is the most important part of the discovery phase of figuring out. There are many companies out there that are ready to sell you a solution no matter what your problem is. You have a foundation crack, you need this system. Well, that system is also for this, and it's also for this. But the reality is that we try to match the right repair for the right need of the property. If you have a stone foundation, you're not going to do a foundation crack repair process like you would for a concrete foundation, right? They're very different. So the best practices, number one, is identifying where the location is, right? And it sounds simple, but it's hard to do because sometimes it might be flooding your entire basement. You might have stepped downstairs and there's 2 inches of water downstairs. So we have to understand, okay, how is it coming in? Where is it coming in? And why is it coming in? The first way to think about it is, what kind of event caused this rain or caused this issue? Is it a dry day, hasn't rained in weeks, and all of a sudden I have water in my basement? Well, if that's the case, you're probably looking at a plumbing issue or something to do with maybe a broken water line in on the exterior. Sometimes it's sprinklers, sometimes it's a main water line coming in from the city or a well. Now, if it's something where it has rained very heavy, very quickly, and you have a spot of water coming through, well, now that's telling us, okay, that's outside water coming down and coming in. Now, what we've had inches and inches of rain over, several day period, and now you're seeing it coming in around the basement. Well, now we might be looking at several things. It could be a perched water table. It could be the global water table. It could just be water finding its way down, super saturating the soil. Now, if you have a finished basement, things get a little bit more tricky because now we don't know and we're not able to see and access the foundation. And there are some tools out there to be able to help us a little bit, but the reality is that they're not going to be pinpoint accurate. So identifying the location of where it is, knowing, is it everywhere? Is it on one wall or is it just in one spot? That'll really help us kind of figure out, are we dealing with a major water table issue or a point issue that we can help resolve? If the basement's finished and you're seeing water just on the floor, well, guess what? That doesn't mean it started at the floor. I get this call every time we have a finished basement. I just see it on the floor. I think I need a sump pump. Well, of course you're going to see it on the floor. That's where the water is going to eventually settle down, and that's where you're going to see it. It's not going to punch through the drywall and come squirting out unless you have a catastrophic event. That's not going to be the case for 99% of the cases that we're ever going to see. So in that case, it's time to look outside. Now, is there a crack on the outside? No. Well, now we have to do the hard work of opening up the wall. Well, I don't want to do that. Why don't you want to do that? Well, it's going to wreck my basement. Well, I can break it to you. The water is already wrecking your basement. It's now going to cause mold and mildew and all these types of things. So, we have to get comfortable with the idea that we have to do a little bit of demo work, a little bit of investigative work to be able to find where the issue is. Because if you don't want to do that, now we all have to guess, and we're all going to over-guess so that way you're a satisfied customer and your basement stays dry. What I would rather do is find you the exact solution and keep the price as low as possible, even if that means getting a sheet of drywall, putting it up, and painting it afterwards. So the first thing you do, identify how the event happened, where it happened, and then starting to look around the inside and the outside of the foundation to see where it's coming through. You always want to rule out simple things. Plumbing, water tanks, and anything that might be holding water in the inside of your basement. So sometimes maybe around the heating system, you'll have a condensate pump if you have forced hot air. So eliminate those things immediately, identify the location. The other thing, and it's a question I ask every single time for our customers, what kind of foundation you have. It's not just because I'm curious, but it's really because it helps us identify what solutions might be available. If you don't know, take a photo. If you're not 100% sure, maybe give me the age of the house, because that'll help us kind of figure out what foundation is. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be a very little bit knowledgeable about what the house looks like, what kind of time period is, and that really opens us up and opens the playbook up for us to be able to help solve the problem. So if all else fails, there are leak detection companies that are out there, but they're focused primarily on leak detection of plumbing and gas. They will do foundation work, but for thousands of dollars, they will come and look at the foundation. And to be honest, a lot of this stuff can be done at home. If you know there's a crack, or you know there's an area where the water's leaking in, the best thing you can do is try to recreate that. Say you went downstairs, I saw water leaking, I couldn't see exactly where it's coming from. I know it's in this area, I don't see any sort of cracks, but I know it's coming from here. There's no plumbing. What do? Do I wait 6 months for the next 5-inch rainstorm? No. What you can do is get a garden hose on the outside, let it run for 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off, repeat that cycle a couple times. Within a 1 hour period, you'll have recreated that heavy rainstorm, and it's not going to be at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep and you're trying to find the shop vac to panic, clean up the foundation, or clean up the basement. So there's very simple things that you can do. Identify, figure out what kind of foundation you have, know the source in terms of whether it was a rain event or not a rain event, whether it was a sustained rain event or if it was a very short rain period, and then pictures, because you could kind of have me come out 500 times and it could be a dry day and I might see it wet one time. But knowing when it was wet, how it came in, everyone's got a smartphone. You can just take a quick photo. That gives us so much information to be able to help you out. So there's lots of these little steps to do. Hopefully this never happens to you, but when it does happen to you, you can kind of methodically go through this process, because when you understand as a homeowner where it's coming in and how it's coming in, everyone can give you the exact right solution for you and your home.